They say my sisters are vindictive, which basically means revengeful. Now, maybe the stigma comes from, the only thing I can think about is it comes from sisters have always been the bedrock of our community. Always been the bedrock of our community. They've also been the bedrock of other communities. When there were certain times during women's rights acts way back, you had a lot of sisters that were helping, trying to be on the front line to get women's rights acts passed. Got this bug flying around me now. I don't want to talk. You have what just recently happened with the voting. And you have sisters on the front lines doing all the different phone calls, doing all the different precinct stuff, doing all the passing out flyers, doing all the organizing. You got sisters that are always trying to help to further a movement, to further an organization, to build on different rights. And they've been doing that for the longest time. But I think what happens is, and that's just in that setting, we could talk about the home, the household, sisters holding up the household, making sure that they provide for their children, making sure that they take care of their man, regardless of the things that you hear out there. There's a lot of sisters who hold down the fort. They do that. I talked about that in my other videos, as far as how much they invest themselves into so much stuff, into their friendships. They invest themselves fully vested in their friendships, in their family. They're vested in their family, all of their siblings and aunts and uncles and all these other folks that are in their family. Sisters get vested. And so I think what happens is when you have that loyalty, when you're truly loyal and you're willing to do anything that you possibly can do and be down for any and everyone, but then that's not reciprocated. And we know that. We know that's not reciprocated because we talk about how people view my sisters, how they treat my sisters, how my sisters are at the bottom of the barrel. We know that. And so what probably happens is the sisters all of a sudden feel like, okay, you scorn me. Like that song from R. Kelly, When a Woman's Fed Up. When they finally get to that point where they did everything they possibly could have done for you to help you out, enable you to be successful, and you don't reciprocate that, and you become disloyal, and you belittle them, and you don't give them the opportunities that they're looking for. That happens a lot. You don't give them the opportunities that they're looking for, that they deserve. Then what you probably will have in certain situations is you'll have some sisters who become vindictive. They'll look for revenge. And I think that is just from a natural state of the fact that you've been scorned and you've done so much that that's your reaction. Now, is it right? Some situations may not be. But in other situations, maybe that's the action that's needed in order for there to be the effect. Something that is going to change that person's mind. Now, I'm never condoning anything that's hurtful to a person. Never condoning anything like that. I mean, revenge can play out in a whole different types of ways. You know, that's that karmic type of thing that I believe in. Revenge can come in all different types of facets. And it doesn't have to be as far as a person being harmed, being hurt. Whether or not a person could be hurt, that affects their, you know, their financial situation or whatever. Say, if there was a situation where there was a relationship, somebody was married, and the person stepped out and they cheated, and then they go through a divorce, and then that sister decides that, hey, you know what? Listen, I probably would have been a little lighter on you if we weren't divorcing for these particular reasons, but in this situation, you know what? I may have to hit you a little bit harder in the pocket. If that sister was at home taking care of your kids and helping you and enabling you to be successful, then, hey, I'm not saying that can't be on the table. That type of stuff, it may not be on the table. It could be worse. You could be where that sister decides that she wants to do some blowing up your car or doing some other kind of crazy stuff. But if they're saying, hey, you know what? Listen, I'm going to have to tap in and we need a little bit more money that's needed, then it's a part of the cause and effect. Whether or not you want to call that revenge, I mean, I guess. But what I'm saying is that there's many ways that folks can be vindictive. And sometimes that part is warranted. And a lot of my sisters have done a lot of different things and they're tired. And if they respond a certain type of way, then it is what it is. Again, like I said, as long as somebody's not physically hurt or anything, if a sister decides that they want to be vindictive in some other kind of capacity, then it comes with the territory. So that's what I see as far as when people want to say that my sisters are vindictive, is I think that it gets to a point where their loyalty is constantly being tested. And they're at a point where now they're done. And they don't want to allow any of this stuff to occur any longer. And they may have their ways of that they were holding you up and they were taking care of you. And now you got to hold your own water. And if you call that, like I said, being vindictive, maybe they use some other little tactics or something like that to make it a little bit harder for you, then it comes with the territory. You can't expect that everybody is always just going to be like, you know what? I'm going to be the bigger person. And I'm going to do that. Because you know what? Some of the people that are watching this video were vindictive in their own right. They had some type of revenge towards somebody else. So why sit up here and look at my sisters and be like, oh, you know what? No, they need to, you know, keep their head up. They need to, you know, bypass any of that stuff. Almost similar to, I think Michelle Obama was saying something about if they go low, then we go higher or something like that. Not knocking anything about Michelle Obama, but sometimes in this world that we live in, sometimes you have to show folks. You got to show folks that you can't just be hypocritical and think that there's not going to be any type of recourse, or that you're not going to feel something that should affect you. Now, I may not be necessarily like that, but I'm sure not going to sit up here and say that, hey, other folks can't think about doing things like that. So again, with my sisters, they do a lot. They do a lot. I understand. I've been around them. I've had sisters do a lot for me. I never took advantage of that Or maybe there's some instances where I could have, but I always try to make sure that I reciprocated. If you don't reciprocate, and these folks are changing your life and enabling you to be able to become a much better person, a much more successful person, and you're sitting up here trying to put your foot down and try to step down, use them as your ladder, and just keep on doing that, well, sometimes some things happen. Know what I mean? We'll catch you on the next note. Peace out.